Good evening, everyone.
The background sound.
On behalf of Medtronic Bangladesh and Coronary Vascular team, I would like to welcome you all to today's webinar on tips and tricks on complex PCI. Tonight, we will be experiencing a case-based discussion from 4 presenters, and we have 3 experts as part of the vibrant panel for discussion. As you know, we have some online event disclaimer. I can skip that part. Actually, we are at Medtronic. We are dedicated to protecting privacy and patient information. So any type of video recording is not permissible outside this program. And at this point, I would like to share with you at the mandates for the original event. The conference operator will mute your line. Speaker will happy to take your question. Please post them in the chat box or raise hand to ask questions. Towards the end of the session, speakers will try to attend to your question as much as possible. To conduct the overall webinar, we are honored to have with us our chairperson tonight, who doesn't need any introduction at all. However, allow me the privilege to introduce him to all of you. Dr. N.A.M. Momnizaman Sir, Chief Consultant Cardiology of United Hospital Limited, with over 30 years of experience in the field of intervention cardiology. Sir is the most high-profile practicing intervention cardiologist of Bangladesh. He acquired advanced training in Madras Medical Mission, Chennai and Escort Heart Institute and Research Center, Delhi, India. He attended the International Conference of the World. Actually, he attended many conferences and different international conferences in the world for live cases transmission as a faculty. His extensive contribution for development of scientific programs and educational skills to the national and international forum of the world is commendable. He did the first TAVR implant in Bangladesh. Last but not the least, he is instrumental in establishing country's pioneer heart failure clinic at United Hospital. He serves as the president of Bangladesh Society of Cardiac Intervention. He is a life member of BMA, BSCI, APV. I can go on and on about his accomplishment. I would like to add that he is we are honored to have him as a chairperson in this webinar. And it's my indeed privilege to welcome you, and I would like to hand over the digital platform over to you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. I think it was overemphasized my contribution in intervention than what I am not really. Anyway, this is a good program organized by Medtronic. Do you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes,
yes, sir, you are.
Okay. Now, Medtronic actually given us this platform to have a program on webinar on the tips and tricks of complex intervention, and I have got a few expert panel along with us. Among them, I should mention some of the name like Professor Abdul Wadud Chaudhry. He is very good friend of mine, although he is my younger brother. But always I admire him because of his contribution for the development of manpower He's a truly teacher, now working as a professor of cardiology in Dhaka Medical College. But he is also involved in so many educational programs. Lastly, he is now carrying on program IPDI. It is excellent program for education for the faculties and juniors, even the new interventionists. He is really a true teacher in the field of cardiology. We have got other faculties, other panelists, of which is Dr. Uh, Tamzid. Tamzid is a very, very good interventionist now. He's, I think, working more than 20 years in this field. Started his career in uh, Ibrahim Cardiac Hospital. Then now he's working in the All Care Hospital, previously known as Apollo Hospital. He's really a genius in the field of intervention, and also contributing a lot for the teaching of the young generation. I've got another legendary cardiologist uh, is Ghulam Azam. He is young, energetic cardiologist. He is now working as a professor of cardiology in NICVD. Uh, he is also involved in so many academic programs uh, in the field of not only cardiology, also intervention cardiology, and both in nationally and internationally. He is the scientific secretary of Bangladesh Society of Cardiology, uh, and he is also involved in many international programs. Um, Dr. Ghulam Azam is also very good teacher and now involved in teaching one of the biggest teaching hospitals, NICVD. So with this, I want to start this program. Maybe our first uh, case presenter is Dr. Anisul Awal. Uh, Before starting my program, I just have a few words about this program. This is actually there are so many tips and tricks of intervention. You cannot uh, concise in a small program. It's almost throughout your life you will learn. Even today, I am also learning one tips of. And every day we are learning. So this is the way that I can say the best way to learn intervention. Uh, and 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 we choose four uh, participants who will present their case, and we'll have some discussion from both our panelists. And if there is any question from the audience, then we'll try to first be answered by the case presenter, and if not, then the panelists. And we also together just make some comment on each of these talk question here. Now, may I ask Dr. Anisul Awal, who is working as assistant professor of cardiology in Chittagong Medical College, and I should say, he's doing very good in intervention outside the Dhaka city, in limited resources, limited facilities. They are doing wonderful job there. We are here in Dhaka, have got a lot of facilities, lot of backup support, but with limited support, working in periphery is really tough job, and they are overcoming all these hurdles and trying to do many challenging cases there. I think Anisul Awal will present one of his challenging case, which we can learn some tips and tricks of complex angioplasty. Yes, Anisul Awal, you can start.
Thank you, sir, for your kind notes, sir. It's my great privilege and opportunity to have a present my cases in front of such a learned chairperson and expert panel, and it's a learning opportunity, I believe. So I will present some of my cases where I feel difficulties. I believe I will learn something from my chairperson and panel of experts. Uh, sorry, it's not moving.
Can anybody try help? I think you from your side you will move.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a story of a young businessman. He was 34 years old. He is non-hypertensive, non-diabetic, smoker, and he was presented to us with a chest pain and diagnosed as a non-ST elevation MI, and we started to treat him with the low molecular heparin. Patient actually had a history of inferior MI 1 year back, thrombolized with streptokinase, and he was underwent to actually PCI to RCA in 1 year back in one of the private hospital in Dhaka. And actually he continue query that he will continue all the medicines, but he continued to smoking. That's the maybe the cause of his this time's suffering. So we went to him to the cath lab and took his angio, and left system we found is okay, and his right coronary artery where the stent was there, we found that it is there is a stenosis, significant stenosis. So that's causing his probably this time pain, and that's not responding to the conservative treatment. Then we decided to intervene. So as usual, we took the 10,000 heparin and right Judkins 3.56 pence, Ranthro and Cyan Blue were taken. We took several balloons like 1.5, 2, and ultimately we put 10 to 38 Jotalimos looking stand. We had several challenges during doing this PCI. Actually, the origin was not a febrile, it's a bit posterior. We had to change several catheters to engage, and there was poor support, difficult to cross the wire, and there was actually acute vessel closure with percentage elevation inferiorly. And also there is problem with the post stenting, and I will just let you know. So when we found the lesion, then we tried to cross the wire, and actually with much not much difficulty we can able to cross. But there was a poor guide support. It was all time trying to come out when we took the balloon. We started pre-dilatation from the distally, but what happened? When it tried to push the balloon, there is everything trying to come out. In one stage, actually everything comes out, and we try to reintroduce. And while reintroduce, there was a patient developed sudden severe chest pain with persistent ST elevation in the inferior lips. And we couldn't actually put the patient in the bed. He was tossing like anything. We couldn't hold him in the bed. And I was desperately trying to recross the wire again, but it was, that time it was not possible. And possibly there was a small dissection. That's why it was a very hard time for me to cross the wire. And eventually I able to cross. And without any delay, after pre-dilatation, I tried to put the stand. And I took the stand, and I actually deployed the stand, and it started post dilatation. But when I deployed the stand, I found that there is one problem we made. There was a large AM branch, and that AM branch actually lost after stenting. So while we try to optimize our work by the stand bush that we don't have divers in our center. And we found that there's an AM branch which was initially apparently not, there was a lesion, and that's why I didn't put a wire there initially, but that was lost. So I did the pot in the hope that it may reappear the flow, but that's not happening. Then I took the wire, run through air, and fortunately able to cross to the start and pre-dilate with the small balloon, initially the 1.25 balloon, then with the two balloons. And also I did the pot. And one time maybe I could do the kissing in this case, but as the flow recovered and there was a lot of troubles was there with this patient, I didn't go for much. So that was my final result. And the bottom you can see, and the patient is still with our follow-up. He is now fine. And another case I want to show. This is a story of a 55 years old gentleman, smoker, which is 3 years back. He had complete heart block and inferior MI, but he was presented late, and we started to treat the heparin. So as many of the patients of the government hospital, he was unable to do anything for initial weeks, so we waited for weeks to recover and continuing the heparin. But his complete heart block didn't recover, and also he had on and off chest pain. So we intervened, and with the NGO, we found that this time we did through the femoral route, we found there is significant lesion in the LAD. And also in the there are some minor lesion in the LCX, and we found that there is RCA is almost totally occluded from the its proximal segment. So we plan to intervene with the 10,000 heparin, right skins, 6 friends, cyan blue is the wear, pre-dilatation started with the 1.25 balloon, also 2 balloon. And actually we found there is a long segment lesion, and we had to put 2 stands. One is 3 into 35, another was a 2.75 overlapping, and also did the post dilatation. There were some challenges we had. This also origin was not very favorable. Poor support, difficult to cross the wear, and there was slow flow, no flow develop after post dilatation. And so that's the our case. We started, and we didn't have much struggle to cross the wear. So after crossing, and but there was what happened several times. There was the flow stop. We had to daughter with a small balloon and dilatation, and we give GTN and adenosine, and then flow reestablished. This way we can able to manage. But at the end, when the flow established, we found there is a actually long segment lesion, and we had to put very long 2 stand and almost metallic jacket, and we overlap and post dilate adequately. So, but the flow that we have, yeah, we are just happy that this is not actually TMC, but a bit lower. But we stopped the case on that. So we were anticipating that this may bring his complete heart block to sinus, but that not happened. We wait another 4, 5, eventually 7 days. So then we consult with our colleagues, and then we decided to do his LAG lesion. So we want a stage procedure, and this time we take EBU 3.5 6 friends and cyan blue pre-dilatation with the 2.10 balloon, and we took 3.5 into sirolimus regulating stand. So we before we doing left system, I check the right system is okay, and this is flow is fine. So we took the left system, we cross the wear, and we dilate, and then they put the stand, and there was eventually there was uneventually we were able to do it. Unfortunately, within 24 hours, patients they become sinus problem. So this is a learning. Though sometimes conduction system defects sometimes appear with the MI, especially inferior MI, maybe complete revascularization sometimes required to break back his flow, to sinus rhythm. So another one case I like to share. This is the story of a very elderly, 80 years old male, and he was diabetic, hypertensive, smoking, and he had inferior MI, and ejection fraction was 50%, and he has single vessel disease. So we took the guide JR 3.5, and it was through radial route. Guide was cyan blue, and balloon catheter. We took several balloons, 2.5, and also 4 for the post dilatation. Stent was 3.5 into 23. So this is the right side lesion. As you can see that there is left system seems to be okay, but the right system there is RCA. There is a lesion in the mid part, and RCA is very tortuous vessel and also angulated, and it was very difficult for us to even cross the wear. When we cross the wear, whenever we try to take a small balloon, everything, as you can note that there is everything tries to come out. We try to overcome this with there is body wear, but this just didn't actually work. Then we finally decided to increase support to take the GuideZilla, guide extension catheter. With the help of GuideZilla, we able to put the stand, and we able to post dilate the lesion, and we able to complete this job very nicely and without any difficulties. So there is another one. This is my final case. This is a interesting one. Actually, I want to show the angio, not the case actually here. This is 57 years male, and his ECG shows LVB, and he has moderate LV systolic dysfunction. And while we did the angio, we found something that we usually not used to see that. But as you can appreciate in the mid and distal part, there is something very ugly looking lesion, and that's, and also in the diagonal, one of the diagonal bands have the similar type of lesion. And patient presented to us with chest pain. We treated him conservatively with the heparin, and we labeled him as a non-STMI, and actually he was not responding. That's why we put him in the, he was actually Rohingya patient, and we took him to the cath lab, and we found that that's what. And he was insisting us to do something for his pain, and actually we found there is a significant lesion in the LAG. and we put a stent there, but we didn't touch this ugly lesion, which was we diagnosed as a spontaneous coronary artery dissection. Spontaneous coronary dissection is a rare one, and for this we, in addition to antiplatelet, we put him on the rivaroxaban 2.5 milligram BD, and he is still in our follow-up, but we cannot make him again to come back because he stayed in the Rohingya camp. So that's all from my side. So during challenging case, we need teamwork, perseverance, and adequate heart tools, where must not be loose at any time during PCI, as in my first case, and conduction defects and ischemia. When coincide, address ischemia first. Many of the times in inferior MI, we can avoid the pacemaker, but many of the times may not be happen in the anterior MI, which may even after revascularization we may need to put the pacemaker. For difficult distal cases, like my third case, guide support is essential to increase support. We need sometimes guide extension catheter like Guidezilla, and spontaneous coronary artery dissection is a rare entity, but management is challenging. So that's all from me. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and I will be happy to if there are any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Anish. Wonderful full case. I think there are a lot of discussion on it. Can I just ask our panelists one by one to say comment on this? First of all, I invite Dr. Wadud to say something about this. Dr. Wadud.
Anis has presented the 4 cases. Very interesting, different profile, different problems he has faced, and different strategies he has used. Very nicely. Well done. But I was asking one thing. The first patient, only a 34-year-old, non-hypertensive, non-diabetic, only vice is that he smokes. But does it account for the level of stenosis he had within 1 year? He was on regular medication. Should we not look a little bit more? He has done the revascularization again, but how can we ensure that he is not going to have restenosis again? Should we not look for what other factors may be responsible for this tendency of restenosis? And have you done that?
Actually, sir, we are emphasizing his lifestyle, as there was apparently no other risk factors. I asked him that if you still gonna do smoking, I'm not going to do any intervention and check. Then he agreed that okay, I'll do it. I reinforce, and I have actually the family meetings together. So everybody said that he not only smoke, he do something else also. He tries to take some other drugs or illicit drugs also like this. So this time he came in a very bad shape, with chest pain, and he agreed that this time he will not do it again. So we hope for the best, but actually this he didn't repair again with any symptoms, and he was with our follow-up on and off. He visit us, he is sticking on the drugs and some. And whether possibility of any rare things, actually we don't have much facilities here to go for others, lipoprotein A or some other things. It's not available very much in Chittagong, so we actually couldn't do that. So hopefully maybe next time he comes, I may think for doing this, even to encourage him to go in Dhaka or somewhere, all the investigations available.
And another question is, looking at the first case, that's a very interesting one, that's a very problematic one that you have overcome so nice. Why do you think that acute marginal branch, such a large branch, apparently have a good osteal disease in there, closes off? Do you think you understand just about in the origin? Was it across the vessel? Was it too short? Murchan, do you have any observation on that?
Actually, first of all, the RCA restenosis in a young, actually restenosis is a separate mechanism for this that can happen even in old patient, elderly patient. In this case, RCA, I don't understand why it was very difficult to negotiate the wire. Sometimes what happened in the RCA or wherever the stented segment, some place is having tissue overgrowth, and also there are some places there is inadequate coverage of the stent because of lack of
Responded.
endothelialization. This is a very very late complication. Sometimes it's because of that if there is late malapposition that can happen. So if that was there, then there is a possibility of wire passing through the starts within the stent, then it will be difficult to track anything, balloon or whatever it is. I don't think that can have that happen in this case, but I don't understand why it was very difficult to negotiate the balloon. Second thing is that it needs to prepare the bed of the stenosis segment very nicely, because there's a tough tissue, fibrotic tissue. You need to dilate properly with 1:1 balloon before putting a stent. So that can also help to negotiate the stent and many things. Regarding what Wadud said, the possibilities of side branch occlusion. Usually side branch, if there is any plaque, then there are chances of plaque shifting. But if there is no plaque there, sometimes it's because of the spasm that can happen, or stent starts. Usually this is open cell, less likely to obstruct the side branch if there is no lesion at the ostium of the side branch. So I don't think there is another possibilities of embolization of the product in the stented segment to the side branch. That can also lead to this. But but the marginal branch is not that important compared to the main branch to produce any harm. Even if it remain there, I don't think it will create any problem. Regarding Wadud, do you want to say something about his other three cases?
No, I think Ajum and they'll be talking on that.
Ajum, I think you can talk about the
We'll
second
talk later.
case. Yeah.
স্যার আমি
Second
স্যার
case.
প্রথম কেসটা একটু মানে বেশি
Sure.
ইন্টারেস্টিং কি এটা হচ্ছে উই শুড ফার্স্ট ডিফারেন্সিয়েট অ্যাকচুয়ালি হাইদার ইট ইজ ইনস্ট্যান্ট রেস্টেনোসিস হাইদার ইট ইজ লেট স্ট্যান্ট থ্রম্বোসিস, বিকজ আমি যে তার কেসটা দেখলাম ওখানে হেজিনেস ছিল ফ্রম দ্য ভেরি বিগিনিং, তার যখন মানে ডায়াগনস্টিকে যেটা ইট ইজ ভেরি, আমাদেরকে এটা কনফার্ম করতে হবে হাইদার ইট ইজ লেট স্ট্যান্ট থ্রম্বোসিস অর যে ইনস্ট্যান্ট রেস্টেনোসিস। আনিস তার স্লাইডটা যদি দেখাতে পারতো তাহলে হয়তো ভালো রিক্যাপিচুলেট করা যেত আর কি। হোয়াট এভার দ্য সিচুয়েশন, অ্যাঞ্জিওগ্রাফিক্যালি ইট ইজ টাফ টু ডিফারেন্সিয়েট, ইট ইজ শিওর, বাট আউটকাম ভেরিয়েবিলিটি যেটা আমাকে কনসার্ন করতে হবে, প্রসিডিউরাল আউটকাম চিন্তা করার সময় কিন্তু আমাকে এই জিনিসটা মাথায় রাখতে হবে। এখন মেইনলি স্যার যেটা বললেন যে ভেরি টাফ যে ওয়ার নেগোসিয়েশন, স্যার এটা হয়তো বা তার ক্ষেত্রে স্টার্টের মধ্যে হয়তো সে স্টার্ট করছিল, অথবা এখানে নিউ ইন্টিমাল প্রলিফারেশন যেটা হয়েছিল এত বেশি হয়েছিল, যেটা অ্যাগ্রেসিভ নিউ ইন্টিমাল প্রলিফারেশন মে তাকে সামটাইমস ইট গিভস সিকিউ মানে ফিনিশটা তাকে হয়তো এরকম হয়তো সে পেতে পারে। কিন্তু কোশ্চেনটা হচ্ছে যে স্যার আমাদেরকে যেটা করতে হবে এই ক্ষেত্রে, গাইডকে স্টেবিলাইজ করতে হবে, ওয়ারকে খুব নাইসলি ডাউন করতে হবে, নেগোশিয়েট করতে হবে, প্রিডাইলেশন 1:1 যেটাই যেভাবেই করুক না কেন সেটা করতে হবে। আমরা প্রসিডিউর সাকসেসফুল করে আসলাম। আসার পরে যখন সে একুইট মার্জিনালটাকে দেখলো যে পিস এসে, ওখানে জাস্ট শুধু আরেকটা নিয়ে বা বেলুনের একটা 1.5 বেলুন, স্মল বেলুন, জাস্ট ওই স্টার্ট দিয়ে একটু ফুলিয়ে সে চলে আসলেই হলো। আমার কাছে মনে হচ্ছে এটা। আর স্যার যেটা বললেন যে আনিস যে কেসটা, স্যার ওখানে 4টা কেস দেখাইছে তো আমরা কনফিউজ হয়ে যাই। আমরা যেটা নেক্সট টাইম থেকে
Second case
নট মোর দেন 2 কেস, বিকজ আমরা প্রত্যেকটা কেসের লার্নিং আমাদের ডিসকাশন করা দরকার।
Discussion আছে, yeah, I agree.
আমার কথা হচ্ছে যে এভরি কেস শুড বি ডিসকাস এডিকুয়েটলি সো দ্যাট উই ক্যান লার্ন। আমরা নিজেরও ডিসকাস করতে চাই, কারণ আমার এখানে মেইন কনসার্ন ওয়াই নট এটা লেট স্ট্যান্ট থ্রম্বোসিস না। আনিস কি কোনো ব্যাখ্যা দিতে পারবে?
And that's the point I want to raise. Why should there be stenosis at this point? Because there is some technical aspect, some patient aspect.
আমাদের স্টুডেন্টরা আছে, আমাদের যে ফেলোরা আছে, আমরা যাবো ওটাতে। তোমার যদি
আমি কোশ্চেনটা আমি মনোজ জামান স্যারের কাছে রেফার করে দিলাম আর কি। স্যার
বেসিক্যালি আমি তো বলেছি যে restenosis is a different thing, and that can happen in the young or even, but whether it is a restenosis, as Azam said, that late malapposition or late stage thrombosis, but it is only 1 year. So it is unlikely late. That can happen that the patient has got a bad habit of taking some other drugs, and usually young patients don't take their medication regularly. That is one issue. Uh, I think we need to answer this question if we can do intravascular ultrasound. So
Yes.
without that, simply gazing is not enough to answer this question.
Sir,
I think, yeah, we need to discuss some more cases,
Sir, perfectly
more
good, sir.
interesting. The second one was the complete heart block uh, in, in a patient where he did procedure almost a week after the acute MI and had a lot of trouble in recanalizing RCA, no flow, long stent, had also LA deletion, and still after completion of RCA recanalization, there was not reverted to complete heart block. These are the questions I think we need to discuss about. So, Tamzid, can you just start?
Oh, yes, thank you very
Discussion
much.
about the second
Yes, about the second case. The good case, of course, infra-MI causes complete heart block, particularly posterolateral branch, gives the blood supply to every node. What is important here, after primary infra-MI, it takes about 2 weeks to come back to syndesism sometimes. From day 1 to 2 weeks, not 7 days. So possibly, it's not because of the LAD opening, possibly it's the time, but that was matter to open, come back to syndesism. And LAD, of course, the total revascularization is important because of, not because of complete heart block, but for total management of the care. LAD has to be done. So it was done nicely, of course, but not necessarily it is actually related to complete heart block, solution of the complete heart block. Possibly it is the same right coronary territory, which was taking time to come back to circulation, and as a result, back to syndesism as well.
Yeah.
So it's a good case too. But the first case I want to say is once you lost the wire, so you're lucky to get the wire back there actually. But if you lose the wire, your wire is not progressing, keep the wire there, take another wire, rather than pushing the wire forward. So just a simple tip, just keep the wire, take another wire if possible, so that the chances of dissection and going into first lumen, we can avoid that going into first lumen and do the procedure safely. So that could go into some first lumen or something that obstruct that acute marginal branch, possibly. But anyway, finally, ultimate result was good. It was opened up nicely, and of course, the kissing filling was done. Well, I'm not kissing, but filling was done, and final result was good.
Yeah. Wadud, want to add something on this case?
Yeah. I will talk on the last case, the spontaneous dissection. Spontaneous dissection is something we have the tendency of putting a stent in there. But if you go through the literature, you will find out in most of the cases, spontaneous dissection, you better not interfere. Rather, putting a stent in there sometimes actually produces more morbidity. And spontaneous healing is actually happen most of the time it happens in more than 80% of cases. But you should do it if there is not healing enough, even after an adequate time. Because if you get a patient who had an episode of MI, let's say 2 months before, and you get a very large vessel and still the flow is very hampered, and you think that there is viable tissue downstream, then you better do the opening up. Otherwise, just keep it there. And he has done nicely by adding the low dose of anticoagulant. That was very well done.
Yeah, but I want to.
In the first case, can I add something? In the first case?
Yeah, that.
In most cases of restenosis, it happens within first 3 to 6 months.
Yes.
If the patient develops symptoms within first 3 months or 6 months, it's most likely restenosis. But if after that, restenosis occurs with time, that will take 5 years or 10 years. That's all right. That's with aging, the process, part of that. Very slow. But early restenosis that will occur mostly within 6 months. After 6 to 11 months, outgrow along with the adjunct. Is this late stem thrombosis or something like that? Because you were taking some other psychoactive drugs or something like that. Could it be? Your comment.
Sir, importantly, sir, আমি একটা কথা বলি স্যার, মানে we are interventional cardiologist, mostly হচ্ছে luminologist.
Yeah.
We are mostly luminologist. We should find out the cause behind.
Yeah.
It is really true. It is very difficult to differentiate late stent thrombosis to in-stent restenosis. But clinical parameter, it is but a common myth is we perceive benign course in in-stent restenosis. In terms of stent thrombosis, it is a grave clinical situation. If patient clinically more unstable in acute coronary syndrome on back, he should suspect stent thrombosis. Maybe it is restenosis because in-stent restenosis only mostly due to intimal hyperproliferation, superficial proliferation. But in addition to flow sluggish, any insult, any ischemic events that may predispose to develop platelet rich, then occlusion of the vessels, then may present acutely. That's why it may clinical clue. But by angiographically it is tough. But what should you do? We just go if we suspect. If you suck, if suction material is there, if you see freshly thrombosis is there, okay, it is stent thrombosis. If it is not, if whatever, then you go for the magnifying glass. If nothing, then you send the material to the pathology. You just see the fibrin or platelet containing disease. If not, it is in-stent restenosis. When you go for IVR, it can gives you a definite clue. Yes, it is superficial proliferation, new atherosclerosis. It is definitely proven. Yes, it is in-stent restenosis. So, when we should find out the stent fracture or stent start under deployment, we should find out the cause. And two major important things: under suboptimal stent expansion and number of dual antiplatelet drug, whether continue or not. These two give you insight whether you should conclude whether stent thrombosis or in-stent restenosis. But clinical presentation guide you what decision you should make. Sir, এটাই হচ্ছে আমার মানে take home message. আমার মনে হচ্ছে
Rajam is very clear. I think in periphery you may not have the option of intravascular ultrasound. Some in lab you can assess whether it is stent thrombosis or in-stent restenosis. You can, if you zoom that segment and take a cine to see, and many of the new cath lab has got the facilities of stent boost and many things, just to identify whether there is stent is suboptimally expanded or not. That is a major cause of in-stent restenosis. And if that is there, then simply you can just expand with the higher size with a non-compliant balloon is enough to solve this problem. And usually it happens as a spotted, so focal. But if you can also identify the same thing by putting a balloon there. If it's very difficult to expand the balloon, it is most likely it is fibrotic. Means that it is the new intimal proliferation, new tissue growth. Sometimes it slips like your what is called that Maloney defect. Just it will be slip proximally or distally because of that. So this is indirect evidence that is the restenosis. But if it is for some other new intimal proliferation or new atherosclerosis, then you will not find any problem. Even this balloon will be expanded by 4 to 6 millimeter atmosphere. Dilatation is enough to expand the balloon. So it is most likely it is soft plaque and atherosclerosis. So this way you can identify whether it is restenosis or. And moreover, another problem: if it is a restenosis, there is a chances of recurrence is there. That indicates that the tissue proliferation on that particular segment may recur again. So that's why you will find some recurrence of the restenosis in the same spot even after putting a second stent. It will give. So there's a lot of factors involved here: the angulation, the stent starts, and the morphology of the lesion, the tissue content. So all this can determine the causes of restenosis. I want to say something about the second case. What he showed, that is acute MI at 7 days, it was 100% block. Patient was still on temporary
TPM.
pacemaker. Tamjid said very nicely that yes, there is a possibility of persistence of complete heart block even up to 2 weeks. What happened to the intervention of the RCA is that there is no flow. It is the usual phenomena. If you do procedure in a totally occluded vessel after 24 hours, you will see there is a chances of low flow phenomena, especially if the lesion is a long segment. So that actually happened here. No flow phenomenon, and the establishment of flow was not enough to revive the patient from complete heart block. If you see carefully the LAD lesion, there was a big septal branch coming distal to the LAD lesion. So, as he said, once he opened up the LAD, the complete heart block reverted. There is a possibility. I'm not saying this because of the big septal branch that also contribute the supply to the AB node instead of a patient with complete heart block in inferior MI. If you open up that one, that can increase the flow to AB node through the septal branch. There is one possibility of quick recover of complete heart block. That is one possibility. And regarding the use of Godzilla in a patient with very tortuous, yes, very interesting. Azam says something about this is a very tortuous, almost Shepherd's Cook like RCA in a patient with 80 years old and having a tight lesion in the mid RCA. He has done it nicely, but there are a lot of things to be discussed about use of Godzilla in a situation like this. Dr. Azam.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. And I'm truly speaking, in this type of tortuosity, it is tough to handle. I must appreciate Dr. Anis because he ultimately can tackle it. But regarding Godzilla, we should be very careful during engaging our guide. We should very careful regarding our guide catheter. Whenever we manipulate, we should follow the Newton's third law. When you push, that can back. But when you pull, then it can move forward. That may cause osteal dissection. So we should be very careful regarding this. And ultimately, Anis should get big hand because he present only 4 cases with all modalities of intervention cardiology already he covered. I think next of the cases, we have very less scope to discuss. And one thing I should request you, Professor Mir Jamal is there. Can you ask him to pass his comments?
Please, yes.
Mir Jamal sir.
Here.
Arif here, please unmute.
I think we have got 4 more presenters and already
it is already almost 9. So by one person, it has taken much time. But all the cases are excellently explained. And to Dr. N.M. Mominuzzaman sir, I want to ask whether this type of tortuous vessel, should we use Godzilla or not? I think it is a bit difficult to use, or as far as possible, it is better to omit Godzilla in this type of in this type of vessel. I want to know, sir.
Yes. I think Awal was very dear to use this device.
Yes.
All device has got a good side, bad side. And the best catheter was either you should use a hockey stick catheter, proper for backup support, or M+ with double wire. That was enough to solve the alternate way. Commonly, we practice to have a better support. Take either your hockey stick catheter or M+ catheter. Use 2 wire for more support. Once you took this Godzilla, you should take care of 2 places. One is pushing the Godzilla within the vessel,
Seminar,
you
একটু
must
কথা বলতে পারছি না।
must
Seminar,
be
texting.
under guidance of partially inflated balloon. Not you do not push the Godzilla down. You must push it over a partially inflated balloon so that it will not produce any scissor effect. It's a razor effect. It's called razor effect. If there is any
Shape
plaque or any tortuosity, it will just shape that atherosclerotic plaque to create a dissection. Commonly happens. Other thing I want to discuss is in other webinar I have seen one complication in using Godzilla. There is a chances of stack of the stent at the junction of the Godzilla and the stylet. So that is the place where many a time stent can stack and can be dislodged. So you should pass it under the coverage of a fluoroscopic guide that it is not hitting any places, it is passing smoothly. These two things I need to express to take a special attention in handling Godzilla. I think we have discussed a lot about his. We have got three more presenter. One now I request Dr. Shamsun Nahar. She is working with me. She will be present. Interesting case. I think. May I request Shamsun Nahar to start your one? Please share your screen. Shamsun Nahar is not audible.
Shamsun Nahar, unmute yourself.
স্লাইড শেয়ারে গেলেই হবে, স্লাইড শেয়ারে গেলেই এটা চলবে। হ্যাঁ,
Can I start?
Yes, start.
Okay.
A little loud.
First, I'm very grateful to the
মনি পাওয়ার পয়েন্ট থেকে তুমি শেয়ার দিয়ে প্রেজেন্টেশন মোডে চলে যাও, তাহলেই চলবে।
আমি স্লাইডে যাব।
Yeah.
First, I'm very grateful to the chairperson and expert panel to give me this opportunity. Starting my
পাওয়ার পয়েন্ট একটু ফেল দেখাচ্ছে, তুমি এটাকে স্টপ করো, আগে স্টপ করো, তারপর আবার স্টার্ট করো, ডেস্কটপ থেকে দাও। ওকে ওকে, এখন তুমি প্রেজেন্টেশনে যাও।
very grateful to the chairperson and expert panel to give me this opportunity.
I think it's moving. তুমি দেখো, ট্রাই করো। ওকে, রাইট।
This is starting my presentation.
সাউন্ড শোনা যাচ্ছে না, সাউন্ড তো পরিষ্কার।
সাউন্ডটা একটু বেশি হতে হবে,
মাইকটা কাছে বা কিছু করতে হবে।
Can you hear me?
Yeah, better now. Yes.
Clear.
Before starting my presentation, I also express my heartfelt thanks to the primary operator, Dr. Momenuzzama sir, for his valuable contribution. The purpose of the presentation is to do a complex phase in simple way as far as possible. So my topic is simplicity is the soul of efficiency. I owe my spouse have no financial interest. Our patient, our 63-year gentleman who is hypertensive and diabetic, presented with effort angina for last year. The right coronary artery shows is dominant. The artery shows 80 to 90%.
শোনা যাচ্ছে না।
শামসুন নাহার সাউন্ডটা আর একটু ক্লিয়ার হতে হবে।
Hello.
মাইকটা কাছে নিয়ে বলো, ঠিক আছে, এখন বলো। হ্যাঁ।
An LCX shows 80 to 90% stenosis in the distal segment, and LED showed 80 to 90% stenosis in the mid segment, which is also calcified. So this is suppository. and our recommendation was revascularization. So we calculate the Syntex score. According to Syntex 2 score, treatment recommendation was CABG or PCI. Then we look into the guidelines. It shows that previously coronary artery disease with diabetes mellitus with intermediate and high sensitivity CABG
তোমার কথা কিন্তু শোনা যাচ্ছে না। মাইকটা মুখের কাছে নিয়ে রাখো।
মাইকটা মুখের কাছে নাও।
Hello.
বলো।
So, according to guideline, the patient has previous coronary artery disease with diabetes mellitus with intermediate high Syntex score. So, CABG was class 1 recommendation and PCI was class 3 recommendation. So, we have discussed all the things with the patients, including pros and cons. As the patient was unwilling to go for CABG, PCI was planned, and we planned for PCI to LED as section RCA. First, this slide shows the materials which are used for intervention. This is the first slide. We did the in our case we did the procedure through the transradial route by 7 French. This slide shows the size. This slide shows that the radial artery is well inside, so you can exclude the 7 French radial sheath. This slide shows that RCA is heavily calcified. Then first we planned for PCI to RCA. The RCA was engaged by the 7 French hockey stick guide catheter and the lesion was crossed by the BMW wire. But we faced some difficulties to cross the balloon. Then with the support of the partially inflated balloon, we extend the guide extension catheter proximally and the body wire was introduced in the RCA interval. Then the lesion was pre-dilated with 2 into 12 mm and 2.5 into 12 mm balloon by wire cutting technique. We took some views to see the proper dilatation. Then again, the proximal lesion is pre-dilated with 3 into 15 mm balloon at 12 hemisphere. The next slide shows the junction of the guide extension catheter. Because we track the stent while it passes through the junction, because sometimes stent can start over there. So it is so important to visualize the junction during the checking of the stent. And then 2.25 into 38 mm drug-eluting stent was placed distally, and the wire was removed proximally. Then the stent was deployed at 12 hemisphere. Then again, rewiring of RCA was done by the BMW wire. Then again, we track the stent while it passes through the junction of the guide villa. And another drug-eluting stent, which is 3.5 into 48 mm, was placed proximally. Then we removed the guide extension catheter within the guide catheter, and the wire was removed, and the stent was deployed. Then post-balloon dilatation was done with 3 to 12 mm and 3.5 to 12 mm balloon. Then we took some views to see the proper expansion of the stent. Then again, proximal stent was post-dilated with 3.5 into 12 mm balloon. The final images shows RCA was well revascularized with good distal flow. Then we move to the left system. The left pin was engaged by the extravagus 7 guide catheter, and the lesion was caused by the BMW wire. The pre-balloon dilatation was done with 2 into 15 millimeter specified balloon. Again, rewiring LED was done with another BMW wire, and pre-balloon dilatation was done with 2 into 12 millimeter balloon. These images shows then again 2.25 into 38 millimeter stent was placed proximally and it was deployed. Post balloon dilatation was done with 2.75 into 12 millimeter balloon at 12 mm square. Show that RC LED was well revascularized with 4 distal fluid. Then LCX was wired by the whisper wire and it was pre-dilated with 2 into 15 millimeter balloon at 12 mm square. Then all the target regions are well revascularized with 4 distal flow. And the whole of the procedure was well tolerated by the patient without any hemodynamic compromisation. So we know particular treatment of heavily calcified coronary lesions still represent a challenge for interventional cardiology. With higher risk of immediate complications, late failure due to stent under expansion and malapposition, although it was a positive clinical outcome. Good characterization of cancer distribution with multimodal imaging is important to improve the successful treatment of these lesions. This slide shows the dedicated device for the treatment of coronary calcified lesions. These are very high pressure balloon, cutting balloon, pouring balloon, rotational atherectomy, orbital atherectomy, and intravascular lithotripsy. This is the algorithm for the treatment of the heavily calcified coronary lesions. Here, coronary angiography can be used to classify the calcification as mild calcification, moderate calcification, and severe calcification. We know intravascular imaging like IVUS and OCT have also been shown to have value in the treatment of complex calcified coronary lesions. So these are the clinical trials like RBAC, COBRA, and DART, which is designed for rotational atherectomy versus balloon angioplasty in native vessels. All the trials did not show any favorable effect for rotational atherectomy, but all the trials did with bare metal stents. There is a trial which published in 2000 in Interventional Cardiology Journal, which compared the different modalities like cutting balloon, balloon angioplasty for the treatment of heavily calcified coronary lesions. They concluded that the rotational atherectomy, cutting balloon, and pouring balloon have similar clinical outcomes in patients undergoing Parkinson's coronary